So version 2.3 for Wuthering Waves is just around the corner, and well, a ton of people are super excited for it. As you know, we just recently got the Zani trailer which just dropped, and it looked absolutely amazing. And I feel like a lot of people are super hyped for our character, alongside a lot of the other stuff that's coming to the anniversary, including a ton of new updates and also rewards. Now obviously the rewards have been a pretty big talking point in the community for the past couple of days now, but honestly I feel like a lot of that has subsided. And well, another really big update that Wuthering Waves actually brought to the game was the announcement of a collaboration. Now this collaboration was with Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Cyberpunk Edgerunners, if you don't know, it's an anime pretty much based on the Cyberpunk game, and yeah, essentially it's one of these things that is pretty big, you know. I feel like Cyberpunk Edgerunners absolutely blew up whenever the anime first released, and it's one of the best, probably, you know, collaborations I could see Wuthering Waves doing. Now, yeah, a lot of people are very hyped for this. It's got over 1 million views, and it got 20,000 likes, so it seems like people really want to see this. But again, also there's some footage from Ryuki's video as well of some Japanese streamers not actually even knowing what Cyberpunk Edgerunners is. So it's going to be one of those collaborations which people have to find out kind of, you know, what is in there and what Edgerunners is all about, because if you've watched Edgerunners, then you know what it's all about, and you know how good this could be for the dynamic of Wuthering Waves in general. And I think they did mention the fact that there could be playable characters and stuff coming to the game, which could be pretty cool. I don't know how they're going to do that exactly, if they're going to just input some of the characters, but there's also been some pretty exciting news which could point at a really good collaboration for Wuthering Waves in the future, and the fact that this Cyberpunk Edgerunners collab could actually be pretty insane. Now, we're going over to another Kuro Games game, which is obviously Punishing Grey Raven. Now if you've been anywhere in the kind of Kuro Games scene recently, you've probably seen that they've had a pretty big update, and one of the main factors of this update, which everybody is talking about, is the new PGR collab with Devil May Cry 5. Now, as you can see here, you know, there's a lot of kind of footage and stuff coming out from the live stream. This is just a video from Grey Raven Radio, where essentially they talk about it, show off some of the kind of abilities and stuff they have in the game, and well, it seems like they've done a really good job at implementing a lot of these character designs and a lot of these movesets into the game. I think what a lot of people were very worried about was the fact that they were going to make it too Punishing Grey Raven-y in terms of the combat, and that it just wouldn't really help them out at all. But actually, what they've done is they've gone for more of a Devil May Cry kind of vibe with it, which has really impressed a lot of players. You know, this isn't just impressive because it's a collab, it's impressive because it's a good collab, and they've done it well, and they've implemented it into the game very well, or at least as we can see from the live stream. So it's going to be exciting to see this in the game. I might even go to Punishing Grey Raven just to try it out, you know, because it looks very interesting. But obviously this points at the fact that Kuro Games know how to do a collaboration, and they've proved it, you know, with this. They've proved it many times before, and I feel like this could be pretty insane, you know. Obviously Cyberpunk Edgerunners is such a huge IP, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be very excited for that going forwards. I'll see people down in the comments saying, me after spending my life savings on this collab, wuwa and Cyberpunk Edgerunners, wow, you know, peak, I'm so ready. You know, I don't think there's really a negative thing. Obviously they're saying it better be a playable Lucy and David resonators, and not some stupid thing like stickers or Cyberpunk inspired skins for wuwa resonators. Yeah, which I think would be a little bit of an issue. Now, I do have like some kind of issues with some of the kind of event and how, you know, it could possibly be run. As that person says there, they don't want it to be a bunch of stickers and outfits. I actually don't think themed outfits is a terrible shout. I feel like themed outfits for the characters could actually look really good, and obviously it would still stick with the overall lore of Wuthering Waves, because I feel like the actual Cyberpunk Edgerunners collab itself could be a little bit weird, because obviously, you know, Wuthering Waves has this lore that they're trying to build up, and it's going to be kind of hard to implement something like a, you know, the Cyberpunk Edgerunners cast actually coming over to the game, because obviously it's going to break the emotion a little bit. You know, they're not actually supposed to be there, you know, they're not kind of intertwined into the story or anything, but somehow they managed to get there. So it's going to be interesting if they do actually release characters, and if they do actually have these characters playable or whatever in the game, because again, it could affect some kind of emergent things to do with the story and the lore, but they could also do something similar to how like Nikkei does it. For example, Nikkei has had a ton of anime clubs in the past. They've had ones with Evangelion, ReZero, you know, even some other stuff as well, like Nier Automata, and pretty much they do these little storylines, and also Chainsaw Man, by the way. They do these little storylines where essentially you know, they kind of fall down to earth, they help them go back up, which could also be a kind of the case, I don't know, but it's going to be, yeah, very interesting to see how they implement it, because if they actually implement them into the world of Wuthering Waves as a long-term thing, it could be a little bit of an issue, I feel like, in terms of lore, in terms of like the story and everything like that. I'm not against it because it could look pretty cool, and I feel like a lot of the characters from Cyberpunk could have some pretty cool abilities if they were playable characters, but at the same time, I'm just thinking more of a lore perspective, more of a story perspective, and how the narrative moves forwards. It just wouldn't really make much sense. And I don't really know how PGR and DMC5 have done it. Obviously, PGR has a slightly different kind of story set to them. Maybe it's just like a side event that they've done. It could be implemented very differently to how Cyberpunk Edgerunners could be implemented into Wuthering Waves itself, because just due to the, you know, the difference of the games. But, you know, in terms of the designs of these characters, you can see right here, you know, they look absolutely amazing. They cooked with the design, they cooked with the animations, they cooked with pretty much everything, making them look pretty much pristine. And yeah, as I said, they really like the fact they stuck with that main DMC5 kind of feel, and it looks amazing. And I feel like, you know, if they do that with Edgerunners as well, they could really do that too. Now, it says Edgerunners isn't coming out to 2026 for Wuthering Waves, which should be the announcement of a new region. So it's going to be very interesting to see if we do go to an area like the New Federation, which is known to be a big built-up city area. If you don't know, Cyberpunk Edgerunners is mainly set in like an area that is a big city. Obviously, it's called Night City. So it's going to be interesting if they show up during, you know, the New Federation kind of arc, because that would make a little bit more sense, I would say, because of the overall surroundings. They're in a city that is very similar to Cyberpunk, I think. At least that's what a lot of people are speculating, due to a lot of the kind of backstory stuff and, you know, some kind of details people have given us in the story so far of the area. But again, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how exactly they actually pull this off, how they introduce some of the characters into the game, how they actually do, you know, the event in general. Because again, another kind of possibility is the fact that, yeah, they just do an event on the side, and then it's just kind of separate from the overall story and lore of Wuthering Waves, which could make sense too, you know. But I feel like it would be a little bit disappointing because it just wouldn't be as big, I don't think. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't really care too much. It'd just feel a little bit gimmicky and a little bit just like, hey, we got a collab, guys, you know, this is happening. Because let's be real, you know, whenever we look at some other games, for example, like Genshin Impact, have we ever seen a collab like this? Obviously, Aloy is probably the only one I can really think of off the top of my head. I feel like Aloy didn't actually kind of ruin the immersion too far, but they did do a similar kind of story thing of like, you know, she ended up in this world, didn't really know how she got there, and is trying to get back, which again, I think it's probably going to be a similar thing with Cyberpunk. But there is so many times that you could do this, because if Wuthering Waves is planning to do, you know, a whole collaboration with Cyberpunk, what other anime, what other series are they planning in the future that could also, you know, be added into the game, that could also come to the game in some kind of fashion, which is great for the game. But in terms of like the story and explaining how the characters got there, you can't just spam, you know, the same like, oh, they ended up in Earth, they don't know how they got here and they want to get home. They ended up in Earth, they don't know how they got here and they want to go home. Like, you can't just keep doing that and doing that and doing that with every single collaboration you do. It's got to be kind of unique. So I feel like they're going to approach this a little bit differently. I'm not really sure. But from looking at the PGR footage, from looking at everything else, you know, kind of involved with this, it seems like Kuro Games know what they're doing whenever it comes to collaborations, and that I have a lot of faith that they can cook and that they can actually make this a good one, rather than, you know, letting this fall off or letting this be a pretty, you know, disinteresting event. Because again, you know, people have been hyped for this DMC5 event. People have been hyped for a lot of stuff in general, so I'm hoping that this can also have a knock-on effect to the Cyberpunk Edgerunners collab, and just in general be really, really good for the game. Because again, I do think this event is definitely going to drive up a lot of sales. It's definitely going to drive up a lot of engagement as well whenever it does come out next year. But hey, we still got a year to go, so again, we'll have to wait and see. It could be a minimum of like 9 months, I think it is, or it could be a maximum of like 1 year and 9 months, which is pretty crazy. But hey, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think. What do you think they should add to the Cyberpunk collaboration? Do you think that it should be like full-on characters, skins, whatever? What events do you think they should do? How do you think they should plan the story around these characters? Because again, I'm very interested in what you guys have to say about it and what you guys think. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And also go to GameStop, use my code KEZA, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.